Reflecting effectively. The reflective practitioner, to be effective, must have the right mental attitude for reflection. And if we look closely at Dewey's paradigm of reflective practice, what we can do is draw out three key attitudes which make reflective thinking effective. And these three attitudes are open-mindedness. This is the ability of the teacher, the reflective practitioner, to have an attitude which is questioning and not closed. There's also the attitude of wholeheartedness, or in other words, the desire to improve and to change and to manage ongoing professional learning. And then the other attitude is also responsibility, which drives the process of reflection for the reflective practitioner. Perhaps the most important attitude that we can draw out from these three is open-mindedness. It's only with a very open attitude, with a questioning approach, with an idea that we can always learn and improve and develop our skills as practitioners, that the reflective process becomes truly effective. What we're always doing in terms of being open-minded is always questioning and looking at what we're doing, looking at the routines and our responsibilities and seeing how we can make changes and how we can improve these. In order for these three attitudes to come together and become very powerful, to improve effectiveness, what we need to do is actually look at what we know, what are our values and beliefs as reflective practitioners. And once we begin to think along these lines, it actually starts to underpin particular ways of knowing for the reflective practitioner. Our values and beliefs are what direct us as teachers and actually give us a focus for our approach. And the ways of knowing actually then help us bring together all these elements, these attitudes and values and beliefs to be effective. And we can look at different levels of knowing, different ways of knowing. For example, we can talk about absolute knowing. This is perhaps the most simplistic level, where knowing is either about right or wrong, correct or incorrect. We can also talk about transitional knowing. This is where we know that some knowledge is correct, and other types of knowledge we need to explore, and other types of knowledge need to be discovered. And this actually comes from the reflective practitioner developing in confidence, becoming more authoritative as a teacher. Beyond this, we can talk about independent knowing. This is where the reflective practitioner and the authority that they have as a teacher start to really take control and become very powerful. Underpinning all of these ways of knowing is something that we call contextual knowing. This is where the reflective practitioner is bringing knowledge together from theory, from experience, into a particular context, into a particular setting, into their own classroom, and therefore synthesizing that knowledge. This is where reflection becomes extremely effective. Within ways of knowing, there are different patterns that we can apply. In terms of independent knowing, we can talk about individual patterns of knowing and also inter-individual patterns of knowing. This really underpins the idea that the reflective practitioner is not only somebody who reflects independently, but also reflects with others as a community of practice, with colleagues, to create very powerful understandings. And it's through these perspectives that we can begin to integrate and also create knowledge as reflective practitioners.